My name is Emma, and until last year, my life was predictable, almost too predictable. I worked as an accountant in a small firm in London. I took the same bus every day, ordered the same coffee every morning, and had dinner alone most nights while watching documentaries. But one Monday morning, everything changed. That day, I missed my bus. At first, I was frustrated. It was raining, I was late, and the next bus wouldn't arrive for another 20 minutes. So instead of waiting, I decided to walk. I pulled my coat tighter, opened my umbrella, and started walking to the office. A few blocks later, I noticed something strange. A little bookshop I had never seen before was open. It looked old, but charming. Something about it made me stop. I don't usually go off track, but that morning I thought, why not? I stepped inside. A small bell above the door rang as I entered. The shop was quiet, with rows of old books and the comforting smell of paper and wood. Behind the counter stood an elderly man with round glasses, reading a newspaper. "Good morning," he said, without looking up. "Good morning," I replied, wiping raindrops off my glasses. "Looking for something in particular?" I hesitated. "Not really. I just missed my bus and saw this place." He smiled. "Some of the best stories begin when we miss the bus." I chuckled. I suppose that's true. As I browsed the shelves, one book caught my eye. It was called The Journey Within. I picked it up and opened to a random page. There, in bold letters, was a quote. "Sometimes, to find yourself, you have to get completely lost." I bought the book, thanked the man, and left. That night, I started reading it. It wasn't a novel, but a collection of personal essays, stories about people who left their routines behind to travel, explore, and rediscover themselves. The stories felt real, honest, and strangely personal. I read until 2 a.m. By the time I finished the book a week later, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I realized I had been living the same way for years. Safe, but stuck. I didn't hate my job, but I didn't love it either. I hadn't traveled in years. I didn't have close friends anymore. I was simply existing. So I made a decision.
3-month break from work. I packed my bags and booked a ticket to Japan, a country I had always wanted to visit but never had the courage to go to alone. The first few days were terrifying. I didn't speak the language, I got lost several times, and I felt completely out of place. But then something amazing happened. I started talking to people. A friendly woman helped me find my train, a young barista taught me how to order coffee in Japanese, a group of local students invited me to join them for lunch after we laughed about our broken English. I was slowly letting go of control and embracing the unknown. I wrote in my journal every night, describing what I had seen, who I had met, and what I had learned. I realized that the world wasn't as scary as I had imagined. In fact, it was full of kindness, color, and stories waiting to be discovered. I visited temples in Kyoto, tasted sushi in Tokyo, and hiked in the mountains of Hakone. Every place, every person, every mistake, I was learning something new. When I finally returned home, I was different. I didn't go back to the same routine. I quit my job, started a blog about traveling and personal growth, and even began giving English lessons online to students from around the world. Looking back, I think about that rainy morning often. If I hadn't missed my bus, if I hadn't stepped into that bookshop, if I hadn't picked up that one book, I would still be sitting at the same desk in the same office, dreaming of a life I was too scared to live. Sometimes life pushes us in strange directions. We think it's an accident, but maybe it's a sign. Because the day I missed my bus was the day I found my path. Emma stood in line at the airport, her heart pounding. She checked her passport and boarding pass for the 5th time. "This is really happening," she whispered. A woman behind her smiled. "First time flying?" Emma smiled nervously. "First time flying alone." On the plane, she sat by the window, clutching The Journey Within. As the plane took off, she stared out at the shrinking buildings below and thought, "I'm leaving my old life behind." Her first day in Tokyo was a disaster. Emma tried to take the subway but ended up on the wrong train. The signs were mostly in Japanese, and Google Maps wasn't helping much underground. She approached a station worker. "Excuse me, I think I'm lost," she said. He smiled kindly. "Ah, you go this line, 2-stop, then transfer." It took over an hour, but she made it to her hostel. In the evening, she found a small ramen shop. No English menu, no pictures. She pointed randomly. A steaming bowl arrived and she laughed. It wasn't what she expected, but it was delicious. "I'm lost, but I'm learning," she wrote in her journal. In Kyoto, the cherry blossoms were in full bloom. Emma joined a local walking tour where she met 3 travelers, Maya from India, Thomas from Germany, and Rico, a Japanese student practicing her English. They clicked instantly. They walked through shrines, shared snacks from street vendors, and took silly selfies under pink trees. Later that night, they sat under a blooming sakura tree, sipping green tea. Maya said, "I believe travel shows us parts of ourselves we didn't know existed." Emma nodded. "I feel like I'm waking up after being asleep for years." That night, Emma didn't write in her journal. She just lay there smiling. Rico invited Emma to her grandmother's house in Hakone, near the mountains. Emma hesitated, but accepted. They hiked a trail early in the morning, surrounded by mist and birdsong. Rico said, "You walk quiet, like mountain person." Emma laughed. "No one's ever called me that before." They reached a viewpoint overlooking a calm lake and Mount Fuji in the distance. "It's peaceful," Emma whispered. Rico smiled. "Sometimes quiet speaks loudest." That night, they cooked dinner with Rico's grandmother, grilled fish, rice, and miso soup. It was simple. It was perfect. Back in London, 3 months later, Emma walked past the same bus stop where it all began. She didn't stop. At home, she sat at her desk, not to do taxes, but to launch her new blog, The Journey Within, Stories from the Road. She wrote about getting lost, about laughter under cherry blossoms, about learning to ask for help. People started commenting from around the world. Then one day, a message popped up. "I found your blog while feeling stuck. Your story gave me courage. I'm booking my own trip now." Emma replied, smiling, "Sometimes you just have to miss the bus." Now, Emma teaches English online to students across the globe. Her students ask questions, make mistakes, and laugh at her stories from Japan. One day, a student asked, "Teacher Emma, what made you want to travel?" She paused, smiled, and said, "A rainy morning, a bookshop, and a book that told me to get lost."